Mark Coughlin reporting there. Clare Daly, you've been waiting all of your political career for the revolution. Joe Higgins has spoken of the risen people. But isn't the harsh reality that given what was announced today, probably Middle Ireland, the middle classes will come off the streets and they will be satisfied with this package?
I think that's very unlikely, based even already on the feedback that's come out. I mean, I think people have simply lost confidence in this government. They don't believe anything they say anymore, and sure, why would they? Like, these were the people who a couple of weeks ago said, oh, we need your PPS numbers. Now they don't. Oh, we won't change the law because it's protected against privatisation. Now they're changing it, and now they're saying...
But you asked for all these things, Clare Daly, and should you not be happy that a lot of the things you asked for are gone?
I'm absolutely delighted, because what it vindicates is that this government is on the run. They are doing giant somersaults in order to try and entice people into a system, but they clearly think that people are not with it, because people realise if all of the propaganda that they've been giving us is that they need to raise a lot of money, they've chosen to raise it off the backs of ordinary people rather than taxing the wealthy. And if that's the case, then the low charges now will have to be compensated later by multiple exponential growth of that, and people won't allow that. But right now, the people might think these are reasonable charges and they accept that. Many countries pay for water and this is a reasonable amount and they will accept it. Well, sure, look, we don't know, but I would actually think the opposite, because I think it's very embedded in people's consciousness that we've paid for it already through our taxation. We paid hundreds of millions in our property tax and pension fund to set up this giant monster that's now continuing to spend millions more on meters, and they're not going to pay a third and fourth place.
Many people said, were those protests then not so much about water at all? And in the case that water is almost sorted now, you want the protests to continue?
It's not about what I want, and the sort of attempts by sections of the media to say this is led by politicians is definitely not the case. This is a people's movement. The people have lost confidence in the government. The government can't rule without the people, and I think they've a real problem. What I say is that I actually do think it is going to herald in a new type of politics that has probably changed on the ground anyway, but the more traditional coming together, the false divide between Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael has probably been exposed now. I think that it will be the case that the Labour Party in its present form will be finished. I think there may be attempts made to develop a different type of party like that, but I think it's gone, and I think the new government is going to be incredibly interesting.
Yeah, possibly a little premature, Clare. The Labour Party's demise was heralded many times over the last 70 years, and it never quite happened. And it's a very resilient party, the oldest democratic party in the state. So you write it off at your peril. Barry, the concept of the water utility was one of two massive infrastructure developments envisaged in the New Era programme, which was part of the Fine Gael 5-point plan of the last election. Broadband, utterly essential to a modern growing economy. Water, utterly essential to a modern growing economy. Problem is in implementation. The principle has to be absolutely right. And I think even in their, honest moments, the people on the left would also see that a nationally owned...
But Frank, you have to bring the people with you if you want to implement anything.
You absolutely have to bring the people with you.
And they didn't.
And that is a problem they've had. They have to learn the concept of talking to the people, listening, and try and talk to the people in a non-mediated fashion.
Frank, there are entities in this state which have been successful and have successfully delivered multi-annual programmes in the past. The NTMA, for example, which is its initial remit was in relation to debt management and so forth, and its remit was broadened, and it brought in the pension reserve, brought in the purchase of bonds and so forth. And the NRA is a very successful model too, that has delivered multi-annual programmes on budget and on time, and the public have seen that success, and they could well have had a model similar to that, which would be a lot leaner, cleaner and fitter than what Irish Water has been.
Will these protests, though, just fizzle out? I mean, there have been protests in the past. They have fizzled out. People will look at these bills now and think, I can afford this, some people will say, and they won't protest.
I honestly believe these are really different times. I mean, Frank's point about the Labour Party, I would have possibly believed that 6 months ago. I actually don't believe it now. I think, everybody thought they would lose a lot of seats. Now I think they will be virtually eliminated. No, I didn't. Nobody has seen a movement the size of this against the water charges. It's absolutely instinctive. It's grassroots up. It's people controlled, and people have seen beyond it. And I think the problem is that Irish Water is now a toxic brand. People see hundreds of millions of their monies being pumped into this dysfunctional entity, and they're not fooled.